Well, a phase one trade deal between the U.S. and China has brightened the picture for global supply chains and investors. But what lies ahead? I spoke with Stephen Roach. He's former chair of Morgan Stanley Asia, and I asked him where he sees U.S.-China relations going next.
Well, I think you'll be disappointed if you think there's going to be a phase two. There certainly will not be a phase two between now and the election. And depending on the outcome of the election, we may never see a phase two. This phase one may be as good as it gets. So I think that the structural issues that have been raised by the Trump administration are going to remain high on the agenda, irrespective of who wins the White House and the Congress next November.
And if you're advising the many companies that have spent a long time thinking of China as the place not just to manufacture their goods, but also to source to a consumer market, a massive consumer market, is there a big reshift and rethink that might go on about what those companies think about where their future is?
Well, that's a great question, but I think China's committed to some important transitions in the years ahead, from exports and investment to internal private consumption, from manufacturing to services. Those are opportunities for multinational companies in the U.S. and around the world. And, we've got to figure out a way to tap that market. I've long been in favor of pushing for a bilateral investment treaty, which the Trump administration refuses to do, as a way to provide two-way access for us into China's markets and China into our markets. And I wish that we'd move ahead on that so we could take advantage of this dramatic transformation that's unfolding before our very eyes in China right now.
Instead, we have this, to the whole Cold War analogy, this concern about Huawei and espionage, and countries like Canada need to decide what they will do with that technology. When you think about kind of the risk there, is it still the better path to embrace economically and worry about those other kind of secondary issues of an unfriendly government sort of as a second issue?
Well, I think we've exaggerated the threat of China, and we're squandering the opportunity. And in doing that, we are losing sight of what we need to do in the United States to really be much more effective in developing our own counterparts to companies like Huawei. Where is the U.S. on 5G? Why do we not have one company that has any meaningful presence in 5G? Is that China's fault, or is that a lack of our own ability to focus on R&D, saving, and innovation in this next generation of infrastructure? It's easy to blame China for our own shortcomings, but it's time for us to look in the mirror.